we touched on a few of the different issues in regards to the voting systems, and the numbers that were given earlier were 6 million people anticipated to vote in the general election. About 45 counties rolled in their new systems last
year,
election, right? So we've learned a lot of what worked and what didn't work, and I know you mentioned you're communicating strongly with the counties. One thing, and Representative Heffley mentioned it a little bit, and a few others here and there, but one of the things that was a great concern for my constituents and a lot of feedback, and I specifically experienced it myself, was the privacy issue during the voting process. It was so strong and so evident that I think it really today during this hearing has not been brought up enough. The fact of walking in and having, the ballot handed to you to a small table with very low dividers, one table or two tables, people standing on top of you, sort of looking down over you, that was just the start. And then if you were to scan your ballot and it popped back for any reason, you were sometimes handed your ballot back, or your ballot was handed to someone else to kind of be floating around, whether or not it went into a folder eventually and you got a new ballot, or it was just very, very evident. And the concerns that I have, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of my people, is this general election with the volume of people, the privacy, education, and training that I think these counties really, really deserve and they need. I think they're crunched. My question to you from the Department of State is, what are the resources? Now, I know with the federal money and the state money combined, and they have flexibility for usage, but do they have the resources that they need from you as a Department of State for training programs, or are you contracting out with third party? A very, very strong concern of mine.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that. May I ask, which county are you with?
Sure, I have Monroe County and parts of Pike County as well.
Okay, so so you were going from Monroe was you were already doing hand-marked paper? You weren't doing hand-marked paper.
Weren't.
You had machines in both places.
We had machines and closed, and it went into an open system. So it was really tough on everyone, I think, to change over. But there was definitely a loss of privacy that was very strong.
And I think we heard that from a number of places across the Commonwealth, and it's why I thank you to the legislature for working very quickly in November to, was it Act 94, where we added increased ability for privacy provisions. I think it was that change, right? We all had, whether it was the lever machines or a lot of the DRE machines had that great, curtain that went behind you, and it's a very different system than a lot of the counties that went to hand-marked paper. So we absolutely are going to be providing the reimbursement under the bond, and for whether it's curtains and so forth that need to help provide that privacy physically. But then you're absolutely right that training is a huge part of it. And so, yes, one of the things that I want to make sure we do as part of the federal dollars as well is help fund training, whether again it's through third parties or vendors providing, or whoever it is that can help train the poll workers to not invade that personal space.
Right, and I think they're wonderful people doing good work that they don't get paid a tremendous amount to do it. But what are the current requirements on training that the counties do have to provide, and are we enhancing that? Is my question, and are they getting that resource to have appropriate training so that they can feel confident in the counting level?
Yeah, and Jonathan, I'm going to ask you whether you've talked about this recently with counties. I mean, I know that you've spoken a lot to York, which certainly experienced this. And actually, I spoke to one of the county commissioners there last night, and she was also expressing interest in, making sure that we're providing this information. I think poll worker training, it's been part of poll worker training before, but it's a totally different system, right? So if they've used that system once, each time they're using it, they're learning more, and we can be. Do you want to talk some about your conversations?
Sure, and a lot of it too, we can provide. One of the biggest resources we can provide is guidance. A lot of the issues that we heard kind of when we drilled down talking to individual counties and even talking to voters who filed complaints, the issues related to privacy, a lot of them had to do with polling place layout. You know, with the old system, polling place layout may not have been as big an issue because the voting booth was completely enclosed. With this type of voting, you have to look at polling place layout differently and make sure that you don't have voters congregating near other voters. And some of it is simple as making sure that voters understand that when they're done voting their ballot, that they need to place it in the privacy sleeve or privacy folder, whatever is provided by the county. So when they're waiting in line to scan it into the precinct scanner, their ballot isn't exposed. And what we learned, a lot of those things were kind of missed during the training, or they didn't sink in. So having trained poll workers, having efficient polling place layouts so you don't have voters congregating in areas where other voters are trying to mark their ballot in secrecy, I think can do a lot to change the perception that there was a lack of privacy. I think it's really simple things like that, in addition to the additional equipment and resources that counties need to
Keep it moving.
provide for a private atmosphere.
Right, we're out of time, but thank you so much. I really just want to make sure that they have the resources to have the appropriate training and the appropriate coverage to make sure the voter feels confident. Thank you.